Over the last few years, I've hired a couple dozen virtual assistants to help me out in my various different businesses. And the number one question that I get from other entrepreneurs or just friends of mine that want to hire their own virtual assistants, and even my mom, is what should I hire a virtual assistant for? So in this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 things that I've hired virtual assistants for in the past. And these are going to be the areas where I see the most potential to plug a virtual assistant into your business and see the best ROI. Let's dive in and start with number 5. Now, this is where most people's minds go to when they think about hiring a virtual assistant, and that is to administrative tasks. So no matter what business you're in, whether it has to do with social media or construction or fish tanks, there are going to be tedious parts of your business that you do not want to spend your time doing, whether it is scheduling things, managing spreadsheets, data entry, all of these different things and many more crop up in pretty much everyone's business. And doing those things is not going to be a very high ROI on your time if you are an entrepreneur or business owner. In general, it's best to get those things off your plate as soon as possible. And your 2 big options for this are either to automate them away or to outsource them. Now, in a lot of cases, if possible, I'll just try to automate things away using different softwares and integrations. But when it comes to having to hire an actual person, I find virtual assistants are perfect for these kinds of tasks because they are highly repetitive and easily taught. And these make for some of the best tasks to assign to a virtual assistant, something that doesn't change very much from each time you do it. It's very, very standardized, which then makes it much easier for you to teach someone how to do something once, and then they're just off on their own doing it until maybe an irregular version comes up and they have to ask you a question from time to time. Now, as you become a more skilled trainer, a more skilled teacher, then you're able to train virtual assistants for much more complicated tasks where there's going to be a lot more variability from one time to the next. But when you're just starting out, administrative tasks can be one of the best ways to get your feet wet with virtual assistants because it doesn't require as much skill from you as the employer. Now, before we get to number 4, which is probably my favorite, I do want to mention that if you are ready to hire a virtual assistant or you want to make a job post at any point, I've got the platform that I personally use linked in the description below. This is not a sponsorship, but it does help out the channel if you do choose to use that link when you sign up. And like I mentioned, primary platform that I use, and I've hired dozens and dozens of people through there, including many people for this 4th role, which is a video editor. So believe it or not, the video you're watching right now is being edited by somebody that I hired virtually. Now, one of the reasons why hiring a virtual assistant as a video editor can be extremely beneficial for your business is because online video is just so huge right now, regardless of what industry you're in. Whether you're doing content marketing with YouTube videos or running paid ads on Facebook or using short form videos on TikTok to grow your personal brand or your business, any video content marketing you're going to do is going to require editing. And for you, the business owner, the entrepreneur, it's not going to be worth your time to become a proficient video editor when you could be spending that time on much higher ROI tasks. And there are plenty and plenty of people out there that are very skilled at video editing, which you could hire to do that for you so that you can produce more videos and focus more of your time on growing your business rather than learning how to become a video editor. Personally, I've hired at least a dozen video editors over the last couple of years for this channel, various other YouTube channels, and a previous business that I had. So I've got a lot of experience hiring video editors virtually, and I've had nothing but positive experiences throughout this process. There are so many skilled people out there who can edit amazing videos. And in most cases, there's not going to be a massive benefit for you to have your video editor in person, which is why this is one of my favorite tasks for VAs. Now, spot number 3, we have a much more common task for virtual assistants, which is customer service. Now, I don't have as much experience hiring customer service virtual assistants myself, just because most of the businesses that I run don't require too much customer service. I think I've probably hired 1 or 2 customer service VAs over the course of the last few years. But the reason that this one is great is that it's highly repeatable. So it's less repeatable than administrative tasks where it's literally the same thing every time. But with most customer service, there's like 5 different messages that the customer could send, like 5 big problems that you'll run into, like 80% of the tickets that come in. And then the other 20% might be a little bit more confusing or specialized. But if you can train someone to answer that 80% very easily, that can free up a ton of your time because with customer service, somebody has to be there answering those tickets. And if you are the business owner, again, it probably should not be you. It's also very easy to train somebody to do customer service, especially if they've done it before. And a lot of people working as virtual assistants do have at least some experience with customer service. But that's not nearly exciting as number 2, which is one that I have much more experience hiring folks for. This is going to be graphic design. So similar to video editing, something that is very crucial for virtually any business. I mean, if you have a website, you need graphic design. If you have a social media account, you need graphic design. If you have anything, you need graphic design in this day and age. If you have any business that has an online presence, you're going to need to have some kind of graphic designer. The odds that it makes sense for you to hire somebody full-time in person, 40 hours a week, W-2 as a graphic designer very, very low unless you have a massive business with massive graphic design needs. If that's not the case, you could A, take to Canva, which is great when you're just getting started, but eventually you do need to graduate. And one of the best places to graduate to is hiring a virtual assistant because, again, similar to video editing, there is a ton of graphic design talent out there. And when hiring virtually, it can be very, very affordable to find someone to either hire part-time or full-time as a graphic designer. Also, the difference between good graphic design and bad graphic design is pretty stark. So if you are trying to take your business seriously, it does make sense to graduate from Canva sooner rather than later. Now, this is typically going to be a lot more difficult to train than something like customer service or administrative tasks because you need to find somebody that's already a good graphic designer. I mean, unless you're a pro graphic designer yourself, which is probably not the case, then you're going to need to find somebody that already has a pretty solid skill set. And better than that, it's probably going to be best to find someone who actually has experience designing the kinds of things that you want them to design for you. So if you're looking for somebody to design logos for your company, then you probably want to find somebody that has a lot of experience designing logos. If you want a YouTube thumbnail artist, you should find someone who has a solid portfolio of designing YouTube thumbnails in the style that you want. Now, with things like YouTube thumbnails, it is possible to teach a virtual assistant how to do the kinds of thumbnails that you want, but only if you have a very clear understanding of what you're actually looking for. Because if you just tell them to make a thumbnail that pops, that's not going to be very helpful for them in actually designing a good thumbnail for your videos. And this is honestly something that I really struggle with when hiring graphic design virtual assistants, is that I do not have an eye for graphic design myself at all. So it makes it very difficult for me to effectively train these people. But it's something that I continue to work on and I'm getting better every single time that I hire someone. But now the moment you've all been waiting for, task number one, the absolute best thing to outsource to a virtual assistant. And this one really combines aspects from all of the previous 4 tasks. It is social media. So this is a very, very broad thing that can encompass many, many different tasks, from being a social media manager, creating social posts, data entry from social media. I mean, like, there's so many social media related tasks that you can outsource to a virtual assistant, but this is one of the best ROI places for entrepreneurs to outsource things because social media can take up so much of your time. If you're creating posts, if you're planning posts, if you're scripting things, all of these pieces of the process take up a lot of time. And so it's really important for you as the entrepreneur to find out where your zone of genius is and then outsource the rest of it. So if you don't like writing YouTube scripts and you're not very good at it, well, you should probably find someone to outsource that piece of your social media. Same thing goes for actually scheduling and posting content on Instagram or TikTok. I mean, those pieces of the process are non-essential for you as the business owner to be doing. Once you have the content completed, you can just hand it off to somebody else. They can do all the menial tasks that just kind of like eat away at your time, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and allow you to spend more of your time in that zone of genius. Now, a quick caveat here is that just hiring a virtual assistant to like do social media for you is rarely a good idea because you need to have a very clear picture of what you're looking for from this person. Are you looking for someone to script YouTube videos? Are you looking for someone to do graphic design, create posts for you, and then schedule them across Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn? Like, it's very important for you to know exactly what you want from this person and not just tell them like, hey, I want you to help me grow my social media. Because if you do that, it puts them in this spot where they have to figure out all of this stuff and it's probably just not going to work out very well for you compared to if you instead went into it with knowing exactly what your needs are for social media and where you're looking to focus. Now, with a position like this, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to actually go through the hiring process and find the right person because in a lot of cases, you're kind of looking for a jack of all trades. So I actually have a full comprehensive video on how to hire your first virtual assistant, which you can find on screen right now. So make sure to check that out. And if you want to take a stab at hiring your own virtual assistant, like I said, link at the top of the description will take you to Online Jobs, which is the platform that I have used to hire dozens of folks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.